My name is actually Anna-Karin, but lots of people call me Anna or AK. Anna-Karin is a very common name in Sweden. I'm an English teacher here at a school in the middle of Sweden, you could say, by the coast. My school is called Läroverket and my city is called Hudiksvall. Hello.
My name is Nami Kishore. I'm 9th grade student. Would like to ask you a question. Can I ask you?
Great.
Our public schools are popular in Sweden. Why?
Yes, public schools. Is that your question? They are very popular in Sweden. That's pretty much where the main part of the students go. We do have also a lot of private schools. They are also quite common. They are also free. So the public school is free to go to and the private schools are free to go to. We have a few, and I don't know exactly if it's 1 or 2 or 3 private schools that are come with fees that are quite expensive. But most of the students go to public schools or privately owned schools. Yes.
So Anna, in addition to this particular question, I have one more supplementary question.
Yes.
Do the students get any incentives that come to public schools here in India, especially in my region? Most of my students, they get the free meal, free textbooks, free uniform, and everything is free for them. Is it the same scenario in your country?
Yes, in both the public and the private schools, they are free. They get free school lunch, and most of them have no uniform. So they wear the civilian clothes. Every kid, every child in Sweden has a place in a public school. So no child goes without a school placement. But they can decide that they don't want to take this municipality placement, and then they can instead pick a privately owned school. Yes, but there's no real incentive to go to public school or the privately owned schools.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Gayatri Salvi. I'm studying 7th class. Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Yes, please.
How innovatively do you teach English to your students?
That is a very good question, and I had to think about it very hard. So smart question there. I'm not sure I'm super innovative in my teaching. I try to base my teaching on the study of how a second language is learned in the best way. I try to keep up with new research. How do I create the best scenario so that my kids become better at English and more proficient at English? If I do have any kind of own I don't know, idea or agenda, it's what I call language swimming, meaning that even though you don't understand everything I say or everything you read in a text, the more you read, the more you hear, the more the language is around you, the better you're going to get. And the more you use it, the more you try, the better you're going to get. But like, for example, right now, there's lots of talking that in Sweden and some other Nordic countries, we have used too much computers, for examples. So now we're backing a little bit. So we're trying to do a little more old school where you write by hand and you take notes when I write on the board. So I guess for me, it's to keep up with current research.
Ma'am, good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you, ma'am?
I am doing just fine today. It's been a stressful Monday morning, but I'm very happy to get to speak with you guys.
My name is Radhika. I'm studying 8th class. Can I ask you a question, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Do students in your country often take exams?
Yes, they're in different subjects. For example, in English, when we're studying language, we do more writing essays and we do more listening where you don't study, you just come and show how much you know from the last time we checked. But in science, in civics, like we study religion, we study geography, in those subjects, and math, of course, there's lots of testing. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
So
A little
Anna,
too much.
with regards to English language testing, I have a question. In my country, in my region, students are tested only on the writing part rather than the speaking part. So do you have any special emphasis on speaking part?
Yes, we test. The main 4 parts that we test is writing, speaking, listening, and reading. So we also test a lot on speaking. The main way I do that is I listen when I walk around the classroom and I just pay attention to what I hear. But maybe 1 time or 2 times per semester, they sit in little groups and they talk to each other. And they record their conversation. And then I can sit in peace and quiet and listen and hear exactly how they are progressing. Yes.
Yes, that means the students are able to step into the next grade only if they perform well in these 4 skills. Am I right?
No, not in Sweden. In
Mm.
Sweden, you get a grade. So if you don't perform to level, you would get an F in English, but you still move up to the next grade. It's just that we have to help more and you have to study harder and we have to do other things to help you go from an F, which is a not passing, to an E, which is passing. So they are not held back because of a grade. No.
Okay, thank
Good
you.
morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
My name is Farhat Tamsma. I am studying 8th grade from JPHS School Ilavaram. I am so excited to interact with you. Here I would like to ask a question. Can I ask, ma'am?
Yes, please.
What is your teaching philosophy?
The hardest question of all, the one you have to think about when you've been a teacher for many years, because you get lost in the everyday life. I have 2 legs that I stand on. One is that I find English to be a democratic right because it's such a big language in the world. And if you don't know English, even in Sweden, which is a very fair country, you can get taken advantage of. And you don't have the same possibility into visiting other cultures, other countries, and developing your self if you don't know English. So one thing is, I think it's a democratic right to have more than 1 language. And the other thing is that I work a lot with relationships. I believe firmly that kids don't learn from people they don't like. They don't like school in my age. My students are 13, 14, and 15. They don't want to go to school. But at least when they come here, I can be a positive person in the classroom. And I think that helps when you're learning something. And that we make it okay to make mistakes. We're learning together. We're not laughing at each other or we're not making fun of each other. So I would say English is a democratic right and to have a good relationship with your students. I also have bad days and I also get angry. But most of the time we're trying to have a good report.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, how are you? I'm fine. How are you?
I am fine, ma'am. Thank you. My name is Nitvika. I am an 8th grader from UPHS School Ilavaram. I am so lucky to interact with you, ma'am. Here, I would like to ask you a question. Can I ask, ma'am?
Yes, please.
What is school day like in your country?
All right. So basically, all the students start at 8 o'clock. In 7th, 8th, and 9th grade where I teach, they start 8 o'clock. And usually they have 2 or 3 lessons and then they have lunch. And then 2 or 3 lessons in the afternoon. they come here in the morning and they give us their cell phones, because all the students in Sweden have cell phones. So in the morning, they have to give us the cell phone and they get it back at the end of the day. So while they are during the school day, they don't have a cell phone. They have different subjects every day. So they can study Swedish, English, maybe they have PE, and then lunch and math. And then they also study a third language. So English and Swedish, they have to study. But then they can choose Spanish, German, or French. Or they can choose to build on their Swedish and English. If they have a rough time in school, they can do that too.
Thank you so.
Yes.
So my first question is parental leave, which actually what made me curious is 480 days for both father and mother. So that's what I heard. That's what I read in a book regarding the parental leave. But we do have the parental leave, but not that much as long as 480 days. Could you please tell us something about that?
Yeah, it's a long tradition in Sweden that when you have a child, it started with that the mother should be able to be home with the child for at least a year to take care of it, to create a connection, and so on. And it just kept on in this country. So basically we still have 480 days. But the change that has happened is that is that 90 days are reserved for each parent. So you can't make the mother take the whole time. 90 days has to be taken by the father, or 90 days by the mother. Still, about 70% of the days are taken by women. So it's still like that here as well. But we're working towards that it's going to be equal. So children can be home with their mom and their dad before. Yeah, it's kind of special thing we have. We're very proud of it. Yeah.
Yes. So gender equality is something that you actually is implementing in not just in a parental leave, and maybe are there any other privileges given to both men and women equally to prove that gender issue is not at all seen in Sweden?
We do have a lot of discussions all the time. We'd like to see ourselves as a very equal country where men and women are equal, but there's still differences. So it's always in discussion. You are not allowed to have a different pay, for example, if you're a man or a woman. We work towards that the big CEOs, the big companies have equal men and women in their steering groups. Yeah, we're monitoring it.
Okay. Say waste management. Waste management is one of the biggest issues that India is confronting these days. So wherever we go in India, unfortunately, we witness waste in every street corner. So we are unable to recycle it because of the massive dumping of the waste material by the people. Because you know that India is a huge, highly populated country in the world right now.
Yeah.
So in your case, it's a different story. You successfully are able to recycle the waste, and even you are exporting it to the other countries. How incredible thing it is. So could you please tell us something about that?
I think it's much easier for us because we have such much or less population than India. So I have the greatest understanding for the challenges that lie ahead for you. And it's not as easy as taking something that works in another country and just put it towards your country. I do think that what they're doing here is they're working a lot with the people. Like they're telling us, for example, a few years ago, or they have the incentive to to recycle cans, for example. That has been for many, many years. So when I buy a Coca-Cola, I pay a little more for the can, but then when I recycle it in a machine, I get some money. So that's one thing, that's how they started. Now, most of the households have 2 garbage bins, one for garbage and one for food waste. And the food waste are going to a factory or a place, and it's made into biogas to be able to fuel buses and such. At least that's the plan. It's still in the works. We are also going to have another garbage bin soon in the households, where we place paper in one place, metal, plastic, and then regular waste. So their work, I guess what they're doing is they're working on a grassroots, or not grassroots, but they're working with the people to change every person's behavior. And that's one big part. And then, of course, we're trying to work with big factories and to have a green, sustainable energy use. But I do think changing people's minds and their habits, because that spreads out in the society or in the city. You know, they don't throw garbage so much on the street. We have, of course, like every other city, but you have a mindset that garbage should be sorted, garbage should be recycled. But for example, my husband's family is from the US, and we get over there and they don't have that at all, that mindset. They just throw everything in one garbage bin, and my kids are going, "My mom, they threw the Coke can in the bin," you know. And so I think working with people's mindset is one big success factor.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you. Behavioral change is something that needs to be applicable even in India also. But unfortunately, it's not seen in any part of India. Unfortunate,
Yeah.
that is unfortunate. And my next question is elderly care. So in India, as per the estimation, most of the younger generation are actually, they are immigrating to the other countries, especially the developed countries, but leaving their old ones in India. And many older parents actually, they are taking refuge in the centers where the old people are looked after. But in your case, I have read that elderly care is looked after by the government, the municipalities. So whether it is if your old people are unable to move from their homes, and the door delivery system is also there in practice, in place, in the case of those elderly people. So how amazing it is! Really, hats off to your government for giving such a care to the elderly people. Could you please talk about that?
Yes, the welfare system that we have in this country and in other Nordic countries is something to cherish and be proud of. When our elderly become so they can't take care of themselves, they are moved into a home where they're taken care of by professionals and getting the care they need. There are, of course, I think, drawbacks to that system as well, which I see. My favorite place right now to vacation is Italy. I'm very fond of Italy. And in Italy, I see how the generations live together for a longer time. Elderly people take care of the grandchildren, and there's always somebody home. This is something we miss out on in Sweden, because our elderly people rarely live with the family anymore. First, they stay on their own for as long as they can, and then they move into an elderly home. So, of course, it's amazing. We take care of the elderly fairly good, I would say, in these homes. But I do think, and they have company of each other, but I do think we're missing out a little bit. You know, it's hard to have time in your professional life to run around and visit. So I grew up with a grandmother in my home, and I feel that that's something that is very precious.
Yes. So, in medical emergency, if any one of the employees falls sick due to any other ailments, so how can we avail the leave from our job? And does the government give us the leave facility with the pay, or does the government give us the leave facility without pay? So what is the status in progress in your country, especially the working women or men?
First of all, the government steps in and helps. And I also, when I pay my taxes, I pay an insurance in a way. So my work steps in as well in the beginning for a certain amount of days to help me. So I can get up to 80% of my salary. And after a certain amount of time, if I'm still off work, which I was just a year ago, then the government steps in, and then I get a little less money, but I still get paid. So I can survive, even though I had, like I had for a whole year, I was out with a cancer treatment, and then I still have money to pay, my rent and food and the basic stuff I need. So yeah, they step in.
Yeah. So now it's my personal question. In fact, I want to ask this question. Actually, you underwent a lot of trauma when you are diagnosed with cancer. How did you overcome this particular trauma, and you successfully came out of this particular problem? So, what is your message to those people who are suffering from this particular deadly disease across the globe?
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's part of it is my personality. I
Yeah.
have this view on life that everything's gonna be okay. So I think nobody would have been more surprised than me if it hadn't gone okay. So I think we are all different, and we all handle these stresses differently. I know my sister had a much harder time dealing with this than maybe I did. But I think my advice and what helped me up was I have a complete confidence in the medical research and the medical staff. I was well taken care of, and I was just sure it was going to be fine. And I didn't Google a lot. My husband Googled a lot, so he knew a lot of what I had and how well I can be cured. So it did change my outlook on life a little bit. I do take every day more as a gift now. I don't take it for granted like I did before. So it sounds like a cliche that you learn, but you do. But full confidence in the medical profession, and I did everything for them. I mean, whatever they asked me to do, I did it. So that is my advice. I did not try alternative methods or solution like maybe nature medicine or things like that. No, I was full on in the hospital the whole time, like working with them.
So, Anna, I'm so happy, in fact, to see you back again, because the kind of nature you are truly a great human being. Because at the time of Corona, you sent two valuable videos to my students. So I shared those videos to many of my students. They got inspired by your message. So the God, in fact, Almighty is great. So Almighty is always blesses those people who are so kind, and so those who are the great human beings. So that's what exactly happened in your case. I'm so happy actually to meet one of my best friends from Sweden, and with a great with a great presence, in fact. So I'm so thankful to God also for giving you as a second lease of life, in fact. So definitely you have every right to enjoy in your second lease of life.
And I am so honored by your words, and I am so honored that we can connect every now and then. I would love to ask your students lots more questions, maybe another time.
Yes,
We
yes.
can do that. Yes,
Yeah.
but you are also such an inspiration to bring people. I see your other videos all the time, and to bring the world to your students. I think that's it. That's the mission, and you're doing it with
Thank
flying
you. Thank you so
colors.
much, Anna, for your time. I know that how busy you are on this day. So before we wind up this session, could you please give a final message to my students?
To your students, all of you, you are amazing for writing these questions and being curious about the world. So never stop being curious, because every single country needs the young people to change it. Some countries more than other. So get your education, get your education and change this world, because it's not going so well right now. That is my message. You are our hope.
Thank you so much. And if there is any possibility to take us outside your classroom,
Yes.
yes.
I will definitely do that. I will take you on a short little walk.
Thank you so much.
Sorry. Får jag smyga igenom här? I have to go through a classroom where there is a class. I think they're having Spanish. Hey. So that's our classroom. We're going out in the hallway and it's very loud. So I'm going to, probably can't hear me now, but here are all the students' lockers. And we have a big school. And speaking of recycling, this is where our students are supposed to throw their trash. So they are supposed to paper here, cans, and plastic.
Wow.
So we tell them to, hello, do you want to talk to India? Here's one of my students, Lee.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Good? I'm good. Good. Yeah, they have lunch break. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a big school and every students have their own locker.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they sit here and chit chat on their break. We also have a student health office. So in here we have the nurse, the counselor, anyone you can meet for if you need advice. I'm gonna see if I can get a classroom that's not taken.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we
looks
can
like your
see,
school is so big.
yeah, they're 13, 14, and 15. All of them, yes. Let's see. Is this room taken? Sorry, they're very loud too. Sorry,
No
all
problem.
the classrooms are taken at this moment, so. I'm
No
afraid I
problem.
can't show you an empty class.
Yes. No problem. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. We have hallways with classrooms and lots of stairways. This is a very old building. I'm going to show you one more thing before I let you go, if you have a
Yeah.
moment.
Please. Thank you so much.
All right. So we do, the students have 3 places to throw out their waste. But we grown-ups have quite a bigger setup. So I'll show it to you in just 1 second. So this is the teacher's lounge.
Okay.
Where
Yes.
they sit and have lunch. And so what we do, let me see if I can fill this here.
Yes.
When we throw out our garbage, we sort it. So we throw plastic here, metal, food waste.
Oh.
So we throw in little brown bags like that. And then we have at the bottom cans and paper.
Oh.
Right. So it's quite a setup, but very important for us to sort all this out. Yes, that's our school. Right now we have a exhibition about human rights. So in the middle of our hallway, we have this little this, where the students can show their work.
Oh.
And
Amazing.
it's all about human rights.
Mhm.
And they make different things to work with that. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for today.